In today's episode, we are going to discover the stone marvels of Great Zimbabwe. Be sure to watch until the end, because there is so much more to see here than just the famous tower. We'll be exploring this ancient city in southwestern Zimbabwe during the 11th century, and by the 15th century, it was the capital of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. It was abandoned around 1490, and its exact location was lost to history until it was rediscovered in the 19th century. But before we get started, click that like button and subscribe for more videos about archaeology and history. The Shona people of Zimbabwe have long known about these ruins, believing them to be the remnants of their legendary home before they migrated further north into what is now Zambia. Known to the Portuguese as Zimbabwe, its name is thought to mean House of Stone in the Shona language, but nobody knows for sure since there are no written records from the kingdom itself. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to visit in 1491, arriving just as the city was being abandoned. They were stunned by what they saw, writing of towering walls so high that it was impossible to scale them and describing a massive hill made of bricks over half a mile in circumference. That would be the Great Tower that we're going to see later. They also noted that the whole city was built of massive granite blocks, which looked as if they had been cut with some sort of machinery. They were so impressed by the engineering feat that they believed it must have been built by a civilization far more advanced than any other in Africa. They described buildings which seemed to have been constructed with such fine masonry that not even water could trickle through the cracks. This led them to believe that the builders must have used machines or cat-s paws to arrange the stones in place. The reality was that each rock monolith was carefully chosen, quarried, and transported to its location, and then fitted together like a jigsaw puzzle with precision. In fact, most of the walls only appear to be dry stone when you look closely. You can see that each stone has been meticulously carved into place with little gaps between them, filled with smaller stones or mortar. There is no mortar visible from the outside of the walls, so the secret lies within the stonework itself. This is called dry stone masonry, and it is a testament to the skill and knowledge of the builders who created it. The Portuguese took back with them stories of the incredible city, but left without taking any artifacts or notes on their discovery. Their reports served as the inspiration for explorers to seek out the source of such magnificent architecture. Unfortunately, over the years, many explorers and treasure hunters would desecrate the site, stealing many artifacts and treasures to sell on the black market. Fortunately, in 1905, the British government of Southern Rhodesia passed legislation to protect the site, and it became a national monument. The ruins were surveyed, and excavations began at the Great Enclosure. This was one of three major phases of archaeological investigation, along with the hill complex and the Great Tower. Excavations uncovered evidence of daily life within the city, including pieces of pottery and metalwork, as well as animal bones and other organic material. These remains revealed many details about the people who lived here, such as their diet and lifestyle. They also discovered the remains of a large trading network, suggesting that the residents of Great Zimbabwe were involved in long-distance trade with other African kingdoms and the Muslim world. These findings changed the Portuguese narrative that claimed the city was built by an advanced civilization with the help of machines and cat-s paws. Instead, archaeologists concluded that it was built by the ancestors of the nearby Shona people. Evidence indicates that the earliest settlements date back to the 11th century. Gradually, small villages grew around the perimeter of the area where we now stand, eventually evolving into a great city. By the 13th century, this area was known as Zimbabwe and had become a prosperous trading center for gold, ivory, and other valuable commodities. Archaeologists believe the population grew quickly due to immigration from other regions of Africa, possibly fleeing conflicts in their homeland. The people brought with them new ideas and technologies that helped the city flourish. By the 14th century, Zimbabwe was a powerful and wealthy state, controlling vast amounts of land and natural resources. As we move further down the continent, our attention is drawn to the surrounding landscape, dotted with smaller hills and ridges. But one stands out from the rest: the imposing conical hill, known locally as N-Cube or the Great Tower. This enigmatic structure is the most recognizable landmark of Great Zimbabwe and has captured the imaginations of many over the years. Standing over 85 feet tall and covering 12 acres, it is truly a sight to behold. Much of the outer layer of loose stones and soil was washed away over the centuries, exposing the inner structure of finely dressed granite blocks. What makes this structure so special? Why did the builders invest so much time and energy into creating it? The answer may surprise you. Despite its imposing appearance, the Great Tower was not a defensive structure, but rather a ceremonial center of the city. It was built as a symbol of power and authority, a way of displaying the wealth and influence of the kingdom to all who entered the city. Imagine standing at the foot of the tower and looking up at its towering presence. As you gaze upwards, your mind races with questions. How did they build this marvel? What secrets does it hold? And why was it abandoned so suddenly? The truth is that we may never know the full story behind the Great Tower, but that doesn't stop us from trying. We begin our journey at the base of the tower, where we can see the intricate details of its construction. The stones are perfectly fitted together, forming a tight and secure structure. But how were these massive stones moved into place? The answer lies in the ingenuity of the builders. They used a technique known as the lever and fulcrum, allowing them to lift and maneuver the stones with relative ease. This technique is still used today by engineers and architects to move heavy objects. As we climb higher, we begin to understand the true purpose of the tower. It wasn't just a symbol of power, but also a way of connecting with the heavens. The builders believed that the tower acted as a conduit between the earth and the gods, allowing them to communicate with the divine. This belief system is reflected in other cultures around the world, such as the ancient Egyptians who built pyramids as tombs for their pharaohs. But as we reach the top of the tower, we are met with a sobering sight. The summit is crumbling, and the stones are falling apart. This is a reminder that even the greatest structures are not immune to the passage of time. The tower was abandoned in the 15th century and was left to the mercy of the elements. Over the centuries, erosion and weathering have taken their toll on the structure. Despite the damage, we can still see the grandeur of the tower in our minds. We can imagine the bustling activity that once took place here, the religious ceremonies and the sense of community that thrived within the city walls. The Great Tower is a reminder of the power of human imagination and the ability to create structures that inspire awe and wonder. It is also a warning of the fragility of human civilization and the importance of preserving our cultural heritage for future generations. As we descend from the tower, we take with us the memories of what we have seen and experienced. We have learned about the engineering skills of the builders, the religious beliefs of the people, and the fragility of human civilization. But perhaps most importantly, we have glimpsed the grandeur of a lost world and the enduring legacy of the Great Zimbabwe. If you enjoyed this adventure, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more fascinating journeys through history and archaeology, and be sure to check out the next video. Thanks for watching.